today's topic is trademark strategy. So before we go into what is trademark strategy, how do we do it, or anything in that direction, first we need to talk about a couple of things. That is, not having clarity is the number one reason why people don't buy. And I see so many coaches thinking that they need another new strategy, another, quick tricks or tips or something. But at the end of the day, I think because people do not have clarity in what they are doing in a lot of direction, that is when they do not actually get in clients, right? So for others to have clarity in what you're speaking, doing, posting, or hosting, or doing anything, first thing is you should have clarity in your business first, right? And if I have to give example or reference life coaching, I've understood that because I get to talk to a lot of life coaches, that having clarity inside is what reflects outside. And more you have clarity on why certain things happen this certain way, you're more able to cope with all of the external mechanisms, right? So I think the exact same principle applies in business as well, right? And that is the reason why we go through some reflective questions, some powerful questions that will actually help you get clarity in what you're doing, and then we'll come up with the work on the trademark strategy, right? So, if I have to give an example, if I am a business owner and I'm frequently overwhelmed and I have to do a lot of things day in, day out, and I do not usually find time to do a lot of things, right? And I am looking for a coach who can help me get out of this situation right here, right? So if I'm actively looking for coach at this point, and what I have seen people posting everywhere is not everyone, but I've this is an example, right? I saw is I help soul aligned individual take radical action on removing layer to uncover their wild inner genius, right? So when I look at this statement, I have more questions than answers to the question that I had right here, right? So because at the end of the day, all I wanted was to get free from the overwhelm and maybe understand what is my priority and get me out of the situation in general, right? But this person is speaking in completely different language, right? So this is the first thing that we have to remember is speaking in the language of the problems that our ideal client wants to get out of, right? So whenever I talk about this thing, or whenever give in free sessions, or I'm having conversation with anyone, they think that this is just for beginners to go off with, right? So if you're a beginner, it is really good that you come, like, you are doing these questions, you are finding out the answers. But even if you're not a beginner, I think the more and more you go through these questions, the more you are able to answer these, it will strengthen your intention and you would know your business inside out, which reflects basically everywhere, right? Let me write this in bold right here. So before we go into the trademark strategy, what I want you to do right now is answer these questions, right? So the catch here is you have to answer them in as concise manner as possible, and ideally in a word or in a line, right? So first is, what problem are you an absolute expert at solving, right? Another one is, what value and skill do you bring to the table? Third is, who can benefit from your skill? So a lot of times people are so much caught up in this who can benefit section that they actually do not answer the problem, value gap, all of these rest of the questions, right? And because I think everywhere they hear about niche, you have to niche down, they just focus on who can benefit from the skill, right? Another one very important is, it's not just in coaching, but every business is trying to do is either reduce some sort of gap that exists in the market, or trying to completely banish the gap that is there, right? So the same question you have to ask yourself is, what gap is in the market that my coaching is trying to fulfill, right? And another very important question is, what is your ideal client already doing, trying, and why is that not working for them, right? Another very important question is, how does your process eliminate that problem and make it work for them? And another final question is, what are the potential outcomes or results, or solutions your ideal clients would get after your coaching, right? So if I tell you to write it in paragraphs, I think a lot of you will be able to do. But if I tell you to write it in concise manner, you just have maybe word limit to answer this. That is when it becomes challenging. And that is how exactly you should be able to answer these questions for yourself as well, right? So answering these questions are obviously not very easy. It's very challenging. And all of you, those who are attending and those who are watching it recorded, not everybody will actually do it, right? Only a few people will sit and do these, and I think that would make the difference, right? So you think that generating lead is a big problem, you think creating content or stories or whatever other things that you've done, maybe the challenges, the webinar masterclass, those are the bigger problem that you see. But if you will be able to answer this inside out at ease, I think that is when you have solved the most challenging thing in your business, right? And because it's boring, number one, because it takes time, because a lot of times you do not know answer to this, people are usually skipping this particular step. So what I want you to do right now here is block 20 to 30 minutes to actually do it. And how you can do it is you can imagine that a lead has just booked a call with you, and block that particular segment of time in your calendar where you're the most in your best energy and do this, right? So if you're watching it recorded, please pause the video, go to Google Calendar or any place where you schedule meetings, block the 20 to 30 minutes and sit to work on this, right? There's, I think, no other way to actually make sure you do it. There might be, but then I think this is the easiest way right here to do it. So just watching these videos, just doing joining these live trainings or anything would not take you anywhere until you know what your business is inside out, right? So please take time to write these answers. So now we come to the topic is the trademark strategy, which is the shortest topic, right? So it is basically a framework or a reusable system that you can help your clients to get from problem to solution, right? So whatever problem that you get after you answer the above question and the solution. So what you can see here, this is the first question, and this is the last question, right? So you would your answer to the first question and this answer to your last question. So how do you take them through that solution, right? So if I have to give example of relationship coach, maybe first step as soon as they join you, right, or they come into your coaching, is you help them clarify the situation that they have, right? So your first step of your trademark strategy is clarifying. Second is maybe you help them identify the root cause of the problem, right? And the third step is maybe you help them implement the solution that you have generated together into their life, right? So your framework would be clarify, what was the second one? Clarify, identify, and implement, right? CII. Maybe that is what you could call your trademark strategy, right? And maybe somebody else here has a completely different way of solving or getting to the solution, right? So you can name it your own words, you can give it your own name, and that is how you would be able to create your trademark strategy, right? And you might be thinking, I've taken certain courses, programs from certain places where they have their own framework, and how do I make it my own, right? This is another common question I get. And even though you've got it from your mentors, you've got it from the place where you've certified, there might be a certain way in which you would like to solve that problem, right? So that becomes your tragedy. Tragedy. My brain just combined trademark and strategy and made it as strategy. So trademark strategy, that would be your trademark strategy, right? And this is also most commonly known as signature framework, right? So um, this is the first thing you would want to do to understand how are you getting solution to your clients, right? So you can also call it as a bird's eye view of the problem and the solution that you want to get for your ideal clients, right? So you the chronological step that I said should be around 3 to 5 steps in between, right? And it should be complete on its own, right? So you should these steps in between should be able to take your prospect, your clients, from problem to solution, and it should be a complete problem. So whatever you teach should fall under one of the steps, right? So if you're helping them identify their personality type, maybe it falls under identify. If you're helping them maybe find the root cause of the problem, maybe it falls under clarifying, right? If you're helping them put what you have learned into daily habits, right? If you're talking about habit, maybe it falls under implementation part, right? So whatever you have done, you should be able to classify or put it in one of these circles right here, right? So trademark strategy allows you to showcase your expertise, right, in a unique way. It would help you build confidence in yourself in your coaching program. When you have clarity inside that this is how I would help my clients to go through this process, and that would also give you confidence. And yeah, I think that would help you to help your clients in better way. But besides more than you getting clarity in all of this, it would reflect way more in content creation and lead magnet creation. So this is what we will cover in our next session. How do we relate our signature trademark strategy into content creation and lead magnet creation? So what is happening a lot these days is people are, we can see same content being put out every single where, right? So if you're, let's say, mindset coach, you see very similar content being put out every single where, every single place, everywhere. So what we could do here is we could see how are we going to make it reflect in our content and in our lead magnet. So besides that, we can also, when we are explaining certain things to our client in the onboarding stage, or when our client, a lot of times, sometimes they are just in a hurry to get results right after first session. So at that time, you can say, we are just doing, we are in this stage right now here. After we complete this, that is when we will be able to get to where you are, where you want to get, right? Another is maybe in the sales call as well, if you're having leads and they have questions around it, you can explain this is the process I do as well. And internally, if you have your team members, if you have your virtual assistant, if you have your social media managers, with them as well, you can explain it in the bird's eye view as well, right? So we have two to do for the next, before the next session. That is, first is obviously answering these questions in depth, right? Not in depth, as concisely as possible. And the second to do here is writing your signature framework so we can create the lead magnet and unique content creation. How do we exactly implement it in the next session? So if you have any questions, you can reach out and we can solve it together. See you in the next session.